Today, we're diving into a really fascinating study from Anthropic that actually tries to put a hard number on AI's impact on our productivity. And the way they did it is what's so cool. They went right to the source, looking at how real people are using their AI, Claude.
So, we've all heard it. The endless promises about how AI is going to change everything. But once you get past all the hype, there's this one huge question that pretty much everyone, from economists to CEOs, really needs an answer to. And honestly, so do we. I mean, is this just a nice little efficiency boost we're talking about? Or are we really on the edge of a massive economic shift? Well, that is the exact question this research wanted to tackle, and they came back with a number.
Okay, so here it is, 1.8%. Based on their work, the AI models we have right now could boost U.S. labor productivity by 1.8% every single year. Now, I know what you might be thinking. 1.8%? That doesn't sound like a revolution. But trust me, in economics, a sustained boost like that is absolutely gigantic.
To really put that into perspective for you, a 1.8% annual jump would almost double the productivity growth the U.S. has managed to pull off since 2019. We're talking about getting back to the kind of growth we saw during the dot-com boom in the late 90s. It's a huge deal. So, the next logical question is, how on earth did they get to that number, right? And what makes this whole thing so compelling is their method. They didn't just run some sterile lab experiment. They came up with a whole new way to measure the stuff directly from how people are using AI in the wild.
It's this really clever four-step process. First, they took 100,000 real, anonymous conversations that people were having with Claude. Then, and this is the wild part, they used Claude itself to figure out how long those exact same tasks would have taken a professional without any AI help. After that, they just compared it to the time it actually took with AI, and boom, they could calculate the time saved.
And what they found for individual tasks is just wow. On average, across all of those different jobs, Claude cut down the time it took to get a task done by about 80%. But the researchers were smart. They knew that just counting up tasks doesn't really give you the full economic picture.
So this is really the secret sauce of the whole study, this idea of within-task heterogeneity. It sounds super academic, but the idea is actually pretty simple. Not all tasks are created equal, right? A programmer might ask AI for help on a tiny 5-minute task or for a giant 5-day project. This method can tell the difference, and that is absolutely essential for understanding the real economic value. It's how you get from an 80% speed up on some tasks to a massive 1.8% boost for the whole economy, because it weighs the big, complex jobs more heavily.
But here's the thing. This huge productivity wave doesn't lift all boats equally. The study found that the impact looks really different depending on what kind of work you actually do. You can see a really clear pattern in the data. For those complex, knowledge-based jobs, think management or legal work, where a task might take a couple of hours without AI, the time savings are massive, around 80%. But what's really fascinating is that for some of the quicker jobs, like healthcare support, the percentage of time saved is actually the highest, coming in at almost 90%.
And this difference gets even more dramatic when you put a price tag on it. The average management task someone used AI for would have cost about $133 in pure labor time. Now compare that to just $8 for a food prep task. This really shows you where AI is delivering the biggest economic bang for the buck right now.
So yeah, the correlation is crystal clear in the data. The higher the average wage for a job, the longer, the bigger, and the more complex the tasks are that people are using AI to help them solve. But, and this is a really important but, this incredible acceleration is not the whole story. We've got to have a little reality check, and the researchers themselves are very clear that there are real-world bottlenecks that could slow this whole thing down.
Just think about a teacher, for example. AI is an absolute game changer for speeding up things like planning lessons or pulling together information. But AI can't sponsor the after-school robotics club, and it can't enforce the rules in a noisy classroom. Those essential, physical, hands-on tasks become the bottlenecks. It doesn't matter how fast you can plan your lessons if the school day is still the same length.
And this all points to this really powerful idea from other economists, summed up perfectly in this quote. It's basically saying that our overall progress might not be limited by the things we can get really good at automating, but instead by the essential things that are just plain hard to improve. The slowest part of the process sets the pace for everything. And look, to their credit, the researchers are super upfront about their own study's limitations. They're clear that these are estimates. They have no idea what people do after they close the chat window. And their data is from early adopters of Claude, not, the entire economy. So this is not a perfect crystal ball for the future.
So, after all that, what does it mean when we zoom out and look at the big picture? Are we looking at just another great tool, or is this a genuine revolution?
I think the study's own conclusion says it best. The truly transformative technologies in history, like electricity or the internet, they didn't just make the old ways of doing things faster. They allowed us to completely reinvent how we work and what was even possible to begin with.
And really, that's the ultimate question this leaves us with. Right now, this data shows that AI is a mind-blowingly powerful tool for making our current work go faster. But the real test, the thing that will define the next decade, is whether we use that newfound speed to just do the old things better, or if we use it to invent entirely new jobs and new ways of working. And that, right there, is the difference between a great tool and a true revolution.